What's up guys, Volt here bringing you a brand new Fast and Furious car remake. In today's remake, I'm bringing the 1995 Nissan Skyline GT-R R33 that Leon drives in the Fast and the Furious. The very first movie of the Fast and Furious franchise. Kind of an underwhelming car. It doesn't show too much in the movie. It's kind of here and there. It's more or less like his personal driving car. I'm gonna move up a little bit because I need to stay in the sun so you guys can see it in the light. I mean, it looks really nice. R33s, I'd be happy with the R32, R34, hell, even R33. Why not, right? It's an amazing car in general. They are, I think, believed to be discontinued, but I'm not sure about that. It is, basically a Skyline for the most part. We're using the Elegy Retro Custom as usual. And I know a lot of people are going to give me a lot of hate for this for the next video, but I'm going to be using it for the S15 builds as well that I have coming up. So again, there's not any S15s cars that are based in GTA Online in the game yet. Maybe Rockstar will put one in. Who knows? But overall, I think this turned out pretty decent. The livery on the side could be better. This is the livery that is on the side of, I believe, Jesse's Jetta. I could be wrong on that. It might be, yeah, I believe it's on Jesse's Jetta, actually, which is very odd. It's Jesse's livery, pretty much. But it's on a Skyline, so I don't know. Anyways, we're going to do what we always do, and that is start off with the base price. So you want to go to the Travel and Transport website. You want to go to the Benny's Original Motorworks website, and you want to find yourself in the stock area and purchase yourself an Elegy Retro RH8 or an Elegy RH8. For most people, it's going to be free. If not, it's going to be, I think, $90,000 or $95,000, depending. And the upgrade fee is going to be about $800,000 to $900,000, give or take. So you're going to be spending quite a bit of money on this car. So if you're going to make it for a collection car, it's definitely going to be worth the money. If you're going to make it for just a personal driver, again, it's still going to be worth the money. It's still a nice car overall. It is not the Too Fast, Too Furious build of, the R34. It's not his R34 from Fast and Furious. It's not any other kind of R34s in the series or anything. So, but it is pretty nice. And there's not too much to do to it. We'll go over that in a little bit. So let's go inside and customize the beauty. So as we pull in the Elegy Retro Customs in the sports category, pretty much makes sense. It is a sports car, a two-door sports car pretty much. And the color on this looks amazing. It is not a crew color, so you guys won't have to worry about that. But there is very, very few or very, very little customization to this car. And like I said, this car is not really shown too much in the movie. The livery is Not Tonight Pizza Boy, and I'll go over that here in a little bit. So as I go over all my builds, I go over the overall look, the visual appearance, and the basic design of the car and how it's portrayed in the movie, game, or anywhere else in general itself. Anything I don't go over is completely up to you. I just put a few staples in that you probably want to follow if you want to try to recreate the build for said car in the game. And yeah, without further ado, let's get into the build. So to start things off, you're going to go to the front bumpers, and you want to keep that front bumper stock. It's pretty much a nice, clean front bumper. It's just got those kind of little holes down the front there. It doesn't have like a lip. It doesn't have any canards or a diffuser or anything or a splitter. So make sure you don't put anything like crazy like that on. Just keep it nice and stock. After that, we move on to the rear bumpers. You want to keep that stock too. There's no diffuser on the car at all. There's not many builds that have a diffuser. There is one that's going to be coming up that does have a diffuser, so I'm looking forward to that. But other than that, it's just a stock rear bumper. From there, we move on to the bumper accessories. You want to go to the bumper meshes, and you want to do the remove bumper mesh. What this does is it pretty much opens up the bottom part where the intercooler is, but the top part keeps the mesh. So it does look pretty cool. It looks nice and clean, and it's just the best fit for the build. From there, move on to the intercoolers. You want to make sure you put none. It has a giant intercooler in there. It's pretty much covering the entire thing. It doesn't have water sprayer or any kind of text or anything on it. So the one with none is pretty much the best one. Like the stock one is pretty much the best one. You would think like this one worked pretty good, but it doesn't have the like middle part kind of sticking out. If you can see from the angle I'm putting right now, like there's pipes or some kind of tubing going off to the side, to the left and the right in the middle of the intercooler. So that's the one you want to go for. From there, move on to the chassis. You want to go to the headlight trim. You want to make sure to put on none. Doesn't have any intakes or anything like that, so make sure you just keep it nice and stock. For the doors, you want to keep the doors stock. There is no wind deflectors or anything like that. For the fenders, you want to keep it stock. It is not a wide body. It doesn't have like a boxed body either. It just is pretty much a basic design of the car, so just keep it nice and stock. After that, we move on to the engine. You want to go to the engine block and you want to put on the carbon valve covers. The main reason for this is because I think the engine is like a dark color, and there's not really many dark colors because mainly the primary and the secondary are going to be yellow, and the polish is just pretty much going to be like a chrome type version. So the carbon is pretty much your best option. It also adds a little bit of extra flair with it. It's not red either with like the stock. It actually adds in, a couple extra pipes and, little tubes and things like that. Makes it look a lot more fancy, I guess you could say. More souped up. From there, move on to the cam cover. You want to make sure you put on the carbon cam belt cover. This also is pretty much self-explanatory. It's the same color as the engine. It was all one piece for the most part, so that's the one you want to go for. They kind of match and they just look the best. After that, we move on to the strut brace. You just want to put a nice, pretty much carbon strut brace in there. It had like a certain strut brace of certain color, like red and black, but unfortunately you can't get that in GTA Online. So your best bet is either you just go with the basic strut brace or just make it all carbon. From there, we move on to the exhaust. You want to go with the big bore exhaust. It had a nice, gigantic, big tip at the end. Yeah, I mean, that's self-explanatory. Nice wide exhaust, just like the old days. Can't go wrong with it. You really can't. From there, we move on to the grill. You want to keep the grill stock. So you just want to keep it stock. Don't waste any money on the secondary. You're just going to waste $750. I know it's not a lot of money, but guess what? I'm trying to save you guys money as much as possible. That's why I build the cars in advance and go over what you should do and what I think you should do anyways. And I would just say keep it stock. Save yourself the money. From there, we move on to the hood. You want to go with the hood accessories. You just want to make sure there's none. Doesn't have any hood lips or catches or anything, so don't worry about adding anything like that. After that, move on to the regular hood. You just want to keep it nice and stock, nice and smooth. It doesn't have any intakes or, any kind of hood scoops of any sort. Anything insane, vents or carbon fiber or nothing like that. It just has a nice clean front. After that, move on to the interior. For the trim design, you want to keep it stock. There's no sun strip on the car, and it would kind of look kind of stupid with a yellow sun strip. So just keep it nice and stock. For the trim color, you want to go with an ultra blue. The main reason for that is because of the roll bars. His roll bars or his roll cage was actually a blue. It was like an ultra blue pretty much for the most part. So you want to go with the ultra blue color. After that, move on to the dash. You want to go with the stock dash. It didn't have any fancy like stripped interiors or anything like that. It wasn't all that great. It was just pretty much a stock car for the most part. Had a little bit of, upgrades here and there, but for the most part, it was a stock dash. Moving on from there, you want to go to the dials. You want to put on the pod mounted taco gauge or tacho gauge. This is the boost gauge, pretty much the boost and shift gauge, I guess you should say, the revometer. But yeah, this is the one you want to go for. It didn't have anything on the side or, on the dash or anything, so just keep it nice and simple. After that, move on to the doors. You just want to keep them none. Again, nice, simple stock car. It wasn't anything fancy. Didn't have carbon panels or wasn't stripped out or anything like that. No lightweight, so. After that, move on to the seats. You want to put on these sports seats. These are the more fancy seats, and they are pretty much, I would say reminiscent of the ones that are actually in the movie. As you can see, they have the nice area where they can hold you in, and, they look a lot better than the stock seats. Personally. From there, we move on to the steering wheel. You want to put on the Apex Clubman. It did have a boost buttons on it. Now, was it boosted? I'm not sure. Could have been. Couldn't really tell you. I don't think it was. And I don't believe it was turboed either, but I could be wrong on it. But yeah, the Apex Clubman is the best wheel option I could go with for mine, personally. Now, for the light color, I went with silver. Just a nice, clean, standard silver. Nothing too fancy, nothing too bright. It's a nice, clean color. And last but not least, we go to the interior roll cage. Now, I put on the padded dash dodger cage. The main reason is because the roll cage inside the car is yellow. Unfortunately, you cannot change this unless you change the primary or the secondary color, and that in turn changes the interior color of the car, because your roll cage is pretty much the primary or secondary color of the car. So having a yellow roll cage is not right, but he did have a roll cage in the car, and it was actually like an ultra blue. So I went with an ultra blue padded dash dodger cage. The pads actually changed to an ultra blue, so it kind of gives that look to be, I would say, kind of like a blue roll cage in a sense. From there, we move on to the lights. You just want to keep them nice and stock. Nothing fancy there, no xenons. There was no neon kit on this car. Unfortunately, it would be kind of cool if it did have one, but maybe like a blue or maybe even a yellow. But it didn't have anything, so keep it nice and simple and don't spend the money on any neon. After that, move on to the livery. The livery you want is the Not Tonight Pizza Boy. The main reason is because in the movie, he pulls up in this car, blocking up the street. The pizza guy comes up, he says, what the heck is going on here? And Leon says, streets closed, pizza boy, find another way home. And that's where they came up with the not tonight pizza boy, I would say, pretty much spot on. I mean, it pretty much screams Leon, even though it is, a Jesse's Jetta missile livery, which is very odd. But they can't really do that because copyright and just a whole bunch of issues arise whenever you do things like that. So kind of mix things together so they didn't get copyright striked or plagiarized or anything like that. From there, we move on to the plates. You want to go to the plate holder. You want to remove the front plate. Didn't have no front plate. Nice and clean on the back plate, though. And the main back plate you want to do is go to the blue and white one. And the custom plate you want to create, if you want to create one, is 4IKQ331. Again, that is 4IKQ331. You're probably thinking, why would you want to create that? Well, the main reason is because it is actually on the car in the movie. It is the actual plate on the real life car. So it was pretty cool. And I thought I would actually put that custom plate on. Same respray for last. We go onto the roof. You want to go to roof accessories. Didn't have no carbon vents or anything or any kind of roof vent. So just keep it nice and clean, nice and stock. And then we move on to the regular roof, and it didn't have any, vortex generators, no roof spoiler or anything like that. So keep it nice and clean and just nice and stock. Again, very simplistic car and build, but it does look very, very clean, very nice, slick, and just, it's kind of almost like a sleeper in a sense, From there, we move on to the skirts. You want to keep the skirts stock. Didn't have any skirt extensions, guys. Nothing. No, lowered out skirts or anything like that. It's just stock. Matches the front bumper height and the back bumper height as well. After that, move on to the spoiler. The spoiler you want to choose, I think, is which represents the best and probably the closest in the game, is the classic RS wing. This kind of gives it that nice all one color, one single wing on the back, and I think it just kind of completes the car. And again, it does look the most similar to the one in the movie. After that, suspension, I would say a street suspension, decently lowered, not too much to the ground, not completely slammed. So I would say something about a street suspension would probably be best. After that, move on to the turbo. You do want to make sure you do put a turbo in this because it did have a turbo. It was just a stock turbo, but it was a turbo nonetheless. From there, we move on to the wheels. You want to go to wheel type. You want to go to the sport category, and you want to go to the chrome rims. The ones I choose and the ones I think fit the best, kind of give that more deep dish look, is the Dash VIP. They have the multiple spokes as well as it going a little bit deeper into the rim, and it just looks a lot cleaner. It almost looks like Brian's Fast and Furious R34 build. I would say they look really, really similar to the ones that are actually in the movie, and the best representation for myself. Wheel color, since they're going to be chrome, can't paint them. For the tires, tire design, there is no custom tires on these, so don't worry about adding that. Tire enhancements, you can add bulletproof tires on if you wish. More realistic if you don't. And tire smoke, white tire smoke. Last before the respray is windows. You want to put on a nice limo tint. Now, the main reason for this is it's nice and dark. Like back then when the movies first came out, they had like all these street racing cars, and mainly street racers would have extremely dark window tint. And this is one of those cars. I would say Vince's car didn't have too much, but this one definitely had limo window tint. All right, now I'll see you guys in 2 seconds with a rolled steel primer color. Alright, and we're back. As you can see, I have my car in my primered out rolled steel. Pretty much what I always do for most of my cars. That way you guys can see how I do my colors, whether it be an LSC color or possibly a custom crew color. But this time it's not going to be a custom crew color. Now, this car actually had a name before many of the other cars actually did. This car was actually called Big Bird. Main reason was because of the color of the car, which you want to go to the classics, you want to go down to the yellows, and you just want to put on a nice regular yellow. After that, we move on to the secondary. You want to go down to the classics, you want to go down to the yellows, and you just want to put on a nice classic clean yellow. That'll complete the outside color. Now, if you want to actually do the inside color, you want to go to the trim color and you want to put on an ultra blue. Again, that makes the roll cage kind of look like it is like a blue instead of a yellow. Now again, you will have these yellow pieces all around, but again, I think the ultra blue just kind of makes it look flashy and a little bit better, a little bit more reminiscent of the actual car that's in the movie. And that is it. That is how you recreate the 1995 Nissan Skyline GT-R R33 that Leon drives, kind of like a daily driver, slash maybe like a street racing car that he has. I kind of wish that they actually had this thing race, but they didn't. But yeah, it was in the movie here and there. I guess it still was probably alive because they didn't destroy it, they didn't shoot it up, they didn't blow it up, they didn't lose it. I don't think they confiscated or anything like that. So yeah, I think it's probably still in the Fast and Furious franchise universe somewhere. But Leon, I don't think he's gonna make another appearance. He was one of the cool guys of the series, I believe, the franchise and all that when they first started out, but he kind of died off, and not a lot of people know about his cars or what he does and how he is. So I believe this is a pretty cool looking build. Very simple, very clean, very sleek, almost like a sleeper build for the most part, and it looks really great. It's another car that's gonna stay in my collection. Let's head outside real quick. As you can see, it's nice and dark out. Now, the main reason, you're probably wondering why I didn't put a metallic color on this car. The main reason is because when you put a metallic color on this car, it not only overlays or kind of like overdoes the livery, but it also adds a pearlescent, which you may need to change. In sense, if you do a metallic, you'll have to spend even more money to get rid of the pearlescent, make the color nice and clean, and I mean, it's just the better choice is just to go with the classic if you have a livery on it, unless there's certain circumstances, which sometimes I actually go over. As you can see, I'm in a public session, as always. So, as always, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave a comment down in the comment section down below for what car you want me to do next, or what you would like to see next. And yeah, that's pretty much going to be it. So, hope you guys have a great day. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in, and hope to see you guys in the next one. I'm out. Peace.